I welcome the increases to social welfare rates in this bill and the additional one-off payments. But neither are near enough to cover inflation, never mind lift people out of poverty. As People Before Profit said at the time of the budget, inflation is not a once-off. Poverty is not a once-off. So increases to social welfare must not be once-offs either. We have inflation still running at over 5% following 2 years of record-breaking increases. The latest Kantar figures show annual grocery price inflation of close to 10%. The biggest increases are in staples like pasta, rice, vegetables and potatoes. According to the CSO, the price of pasta is up 13% in the last year, rice 11.4%, vegetable oil 11%, potatoes 12.8% and vegetables 10.8%. This is causing working people real hardship. Families on social welfare who spend the biggest proportion of their income on food, on staple foods, are the worst affected. No wonder so many are forced to rely on food banks. No wonder that 1 in 7 children in this country, in one of the richest countries in the world, are living in poverty. Shame on the government for allowing that injustice to continue year after year. Responding to the budget, Social Justice Ireland criticised the paltry €12 increase in core social welfare rates for, quote, falling short of the €25 needed to begin to address income adequacy amongst the poorest families. They also pointed out that the government has yet again reneged on the commitment it made in the programme for government to protect core social welfare rates. People Before Profit would go much further than that. In our alternative budget, we outlined how a left government could increase all core social welfare rates to €300, plus an additional €50 cost of disability premium for those on disability benefits. These are the minimum levels needed to provide everybody with a decent standard of living and to make poverty in this country history. The government has the money to do all of this. It is awash with cash. It is a €65 billion surplus. It is fighting, using public money to fight to say that Apple should keep almost €14 billion in taxes that should be owed to us. Yet it refuses to spend this money on improving people's lives and investing in public services. Instead, in the Green Paper on reform of disability payments, it is proposing to subject people with disabilities to the kind of degrading and dystopian system of welfare reform pioneered by the Tories in Britain. It seems, Minister, that yourself and the Taoiseach might have watched I, Daniel Blake, but rather than being appalled by it, like any kind of normal, decent human being, the government has taken inspiration from it. I hope you will reconsider and not go down a road that has caused hundreds and probably even thousands of people to die in Britain from suicide, starvation, hypothermia and utter despair. The now Taoiseach kicked this off a number of years ago as Minister in your position with his disgraceful welfare cheats cheat us all disinformation campaign. You are now continuing it with your disability reform proposals. Another reform proposal is the reintroduction of pay-related unemployment benefits, which were abolished by the parties now in government in the early 1990s. We welcome any increases in social welfare, but are concerned that the level of pay-related benefit is still far too low. Workers will still only be entitled to a maximum of 60% of their pay for the first 3 months, falling to 55% for the second 3 months, and then to 50% before falling back to €220 a week, or the current average wage replacement rate of 23% after 9 months. Compare that to Denmark, where workers still have 82% of their wages covered after 1 year, or Belgium, where 79% is covered. We're also concerned that this reform will be used in future to justify cutting the base rate of job seekers' benefit and allowance. This could be done openly, or it could be done by simply not increasing rates in line with inflation, as is already being done with core social welfare rates. Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil have always been fond of divide and conquer tactics, of pitting the so-called deserving against the so-called undeserving in order to justify cuts to social welfare and to public services. You did this with the Welfare Cheats campaign and with council housing by allowing the income limits to fall in value until most workers were excluded. Then you renamed it social housing and massively cut the amount of homes provided, leading to the housing and homelessness disaster we face today. The reason for all of this penny pinching is to shield big business and the wealthy in this country from paying taxes. Our People Before Profit alternative budget outlines how billions more in tax revenue could be raised every year by taxing profits and wealth. A 2% wealth tax, a millionaire's tax on the top 5% wealthiest households could raise €5.9 billion. Increasing employers' PRSI towards European levels, rather than increasing PRSI on workers during a cost of living crisis, as the Minister plans to do, could raise over €2.5 billion. A 4% levy on the profits of pharmaceutical companies and private health companies could raise $1 billion. A proper windfall tax on the super profits of energy companies could raise another $1 billion. Insisting that corporations pay the same rate of tax on their profits as ordinary workers do, 20%, would raise $20 billion. All of that money could transform social welfare, provide quality, universal public services for all, but this government will never do that, no matter how much money it has, because it serves the interests of big business and the wealthy, not working people. It's why we need to get rid of this government. It's why we need a left government that is not just left in name, but a left government committed to taking on the big corporations who dominate in this country, taking on the speculators, taking on the big private landlords, a left government willing to fight for eco-socialist change. Thank you.